public defender is a public servant employed by the community and responsible for giving legal aid without cost to any person who seeks it and is financially unable to employ private counsel. It is his duty to defend those accused of crime until the issue is decided in a court of law. Sometimes decent men and women are panicked into taking that one misstep that can lead to crime. Like Henry and Amy Britton, a couple employed in the home of well-to-do jeweler Chester Lamont.
All right, hand it out. All right, get him up, Henry.
Go to your room.
Henry, how did they get in here?
He had a gun.
Gun? Are you kidding? This was an inside job.
Sure it was. The three of us were in prison together.
That's right. How do you think we got the combination to the safe?
Did this man have a combination to your safe, Mr. Lamont?
I'm afraid he did, Sergeant. I gave it to him several months ago.
Come on, you.
Dad! Dad, what happened? What are they doing to you?
Connie, it's all right, honey. It's all right. You stay here. Take care of your mother.
What happened, Mom? What is it?
Several days later, when Henry Britton was arraigned by the court and found to be without funds, I was appointed to represent him. I looked at the date of the trial and the transcript of his record. My own court calendar was so crowded, I asked Judge Frey to continue the case until I could clear the others on my heavy docket. I thanked the judge and left without delay to interview my new client. In my first conference with him, I was impressed with his honesty and sincerity.
Believe me, Mr. Matthews, it was no inside job, but prove it.
I intend to prove it, Mr. Britton, but I need your help in getting my facts straight.
Yeah, facts. It's just my word against the two of them.
You first knew them in prison.
Yeah, prison. Fool I was. Convinced myself I wasn't stealing the money, just borrowing it.
Borrowing it?
Yeah, it was for the kid. My daughter, Connie. It seems like everything we've ever worked for or got's been for her. We idolize her.
So you committed larceny?
That's the way it worked out. You see, Connie was just starting to grow up, and we wanted to put her in a school, a private one, a good one. Well, first off, the school was filled. Then suddenly some kid couldn't go, and they notified us. Well, it was one of those places where you have to have the full tuition in advance, and I didn't have that much money. But I paid it back, Mr. Matthews. Believe me, I did. It's so much a week.
Now, neither your daughter or Mr. Lamont knew that you had served time?
No, Amy, my wife, she told the kid I'd taken a job out of town. And since Connie was away at school herself, she didn't question. That's when Amy first went to work for Mr. Lamont.
And when you got out, he hired you, too?
Yes. And he's a wonderful man, Mr. Matthews, believe me.
And how did you ever get mixed up with Vic Sampson and Bunky Pollard again after being out 6 years?
Well, it all happened last Thursday. Amy was in the library, and I'd just come in from tending the garden. Look at these, Amy. All you have to do with flowers is just keep after them.
Beautiful. Just lovely. Someday, maybe you'll have a garden of your own. We'll get a little place like my sister's out in the valley.
Sure we will. In 6 weeks, Connie graduates from college. Another year or two, and she'll be married and settled down. Then, old girl, it'll be just you and I, huh? Did you call the kid, tell her we dropped by tonight?
Oh, of course. I almost forgot. What do you think? She finally got a bid to the senior prom. That boy she hoped would ask her.
Well,
She says he's a big man on the campus.
well, what do you know about that? I guess class shows, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Did Mr. Lamont give you our check today?
Yes, he left it here on the desk.
I'll hand it over, woman. I want to get it cashed.
Well, what's the rush?
Don't be so curious.
Oh, the banks are closed. It's almost 5 o'clock.
So what? George at the corner grocer will cash it for me anytime. I'll see him after dinner.
Why do you want it, dear?
Never mind, never mind. This is my business.
Well, Henry, imagine meeting you here.
What? What is this?
Take a good look. You should recognize me, even outside a stud.
Yeah, I recognize you, Sampson. I don't want anything to do with you.
Go on now. Lean back. Relax. You remember Bunky?
What are you two doing? Looking for trouble?
That's the one thing we don't want. Trouble. That's why we found you. Take him to the parking lot.
What do you want? Money?
Should we tell him, Bunky? Or should we make him guess? You know, you're doing pretty good for an ex-con, Henry. Working for a rich jeweler like Henry Lamont.
Any ideas you got because I work for a jeweler, forget them.
Okay, Henry. Anything you say, we'll forget all about it. Right after you help us clean out his wall safe tomorrow night.
You lay off of me, Vic, or I'll call the police.
You're not gonna call anybody. What do you think Lamont would say if he knew he had an ex-con working for him and running all over his house?
Go ahead. Tell Lamont. You won't because you know I'll tell the cops about you.
Better think it over, Henry. I'm warning you.
I'm warning you. I don't want to see either one of you again.
Dick, you gonna let him roust us around like that?
No, I'm not, Bunky. Maybe the jerk isn't afraid of Lamont, but I'm not giving up. If one thing don't spring him, something else will. And I'm gonna find out what that something else is.
For goodness sake, Amy, if we're going, let's go. It's 8:30 already. You know that Connie's waiting for us.
Darling, I know those men upset you, but don't take it out on me.
What do you expect me to do? Make believe it didn't happen?